Welcome to John Esse's Sports Channel, where we are going through Championship Week 13 predictions. Yes, is it unlucky for some for your team? We're going to start with Wrexham and Coventry on Friday. Now, it's been a little bit up and down, hasn't it? Yes, we are at that point in season where we will get injuries and we will get players just not quite as fit as they were at the beginning. We'll also get a couple of red cards, won't we? That's has indeed involved Wrexham, of course. What's the last six for Wrexham? Draw, lose, win, draw, lose. And they're not really hitting every game here. Like I said, there are reasons for it. Before you start complaining, there are reasons for it. There are reasons why they're up and down. However, what tends to happen mentally when you're going up and down is that you suddenly start getting that up and down attitude, even when you've got all those players back and even when you've got them all fit. So the last game here was Wrexham 1, Cardiff 2 in the Carabao Cup. We will go there because Cardiff have been playing a very good championship style football in League One, and it's been working on the whole with a few blips. So we are going to go with the Wrexham Cardiff game. Very, very even this game, apart from the fact that probably Cardiff just about edged it. In every single aspect, I would say. I thought Cardiff's passing was a lot better. Statistics say, proved me wrong. Statistics say it was Wrexham with the better passing. Looking at it, I thought Cardiff were more careful about their passing, and I thought that Cardiff also probably almost twice as many shots at target, even though the shots on target were really good. Wrexham's shots, half as many at target, but probably had about half as many on target as well. So neither of these two teams really massively on top. I would say Cardiff were probably had almost twice as many shots at goal, like I said, which means that they should really have been winning this one 2-0, 2-1. They did win it 2-1. So this game was probably about right. Cardiff City were the best team. Let's go back to the last league game for Wrexham, which was that 1-1 draw. Borough 1, Wrexham 1. This is the game where I thought Wrexham did really, really well. They just defended. They only had 2 shots on target, but they reduced Borough to 4 shots on target. Even though they had 14 shots, they reduced Borough to 4 of them being on target and 5 of them blocked. This is a side, and this is a game where that side shows how good it is or can be in defence, which is going to be good. And it's a good point to make because they're playing Coventry City, of course. Win. Last time out was a league game. It was Coventry 3, Watford 1, and 3-0 at half time. Oh, well, yeah, 3-0 at half time. Watford having a red card just before the break there. Did it make a difference? Actually, it did, but it made the difference in the opposite direction. Watford actually gelled more in the second half, I thought. And being one man down seemed to just give them the impetus to try and get back in it. And penalty on 69, and people thinking, no, they can't do it, can they? Of course they couldn't, but hey, that thought of 10 men being stronger than 11, it does work, doesn't it? The stats here show that it was actually Watford that, because of that second half performance, it was actually Watford that came out on top slightly, believe it or not. Look, Coventry, a lot better passing. That passing is just amazing, isn't it? It wasn't as good it has been, but it still was brilliant. But they had 12 shots. Well, the shots at target were about the same. 12 or 13 shots for both sides. But the thing is, Coventry only managed 3 on target, 3 in the net. Get that. And Watford had 8 on target, 1 in the net. And you have to just feel sorry for the Watford fans. They must have been absolutely gutted that they didn't come out with anything. And there were only 3 blocked for Watford. So, it was not as if they sort of hammered it straight at standing players trying to get it through the crowd. when they were trying hard to get it past that goalkeeper, and he did some really good saves. I think one of the saves in the first half, you could see the heads drop. You think, if that's not going in, we're not going to do a thing, are we? And the game I just wonder if the heads hadn't have dropped with that first goal, whether in 3 minutes, whether Watford could have, took that second half performance through the whole game, whether they would have actually drawn it or even won it. Watford here, a little bit unlucky, but the figures for both sides, they're both figures of a winning side. A draw would have probably been about right there. But they are getting majority, and the last two games, right? Coventry have actually let one goal in both games, and they've been the number of goals they've let in is something like 7 in the entire season. It's something stupid. It's just ridiculous. Their defence is brilliant. Now we've got two teams here, Wrexham, Coventry, who are playing really good. Their defences are really good. I can see this one being one of those 1-0s that Wrexham seem to be quite good at. Just one goal in either direction or both directions. The odd goal, good in defence, not brilliant at finishing up front for Wrexham, but Coventry are brilliant and can be stupendous up front. But they also have a good defence. So it's going to be an interesting one, and I don't really know which way of the quantity of goals, whether it's going to be just that odd one or 2 or 3. So I'm going to go with Wrexham 1, Coventry 2, and we'll go to Saturday's games. Now Saturday's games kick off with the FA Cup, of course, but then they also kick off with the Championship, and we go to Leicester versus Blackburn Rovers. Now, obviously, Leicester in 10th, Blackburn Rovers in 21st. There's a few places below Wrexham as it is. And Leicester City, draw, win, draw, lose. Last two defeats for Leicester, both in the Championship, 2-1 to Hull away and 1-0 to Millwall away. They'll be looking to try and bring back their season with a nice home win. And what better side to play than Blackburn when they're really on the downer here, 21st position. Only by the fact that Norwich had dropped into 23rd. Otherwise, I think it would have been the same three again: Sheffield, and Blackburn. But they've been beaten to the bottom by Norwich City. But they're still not playing brilliantly. Blackburn lose, draw, lose, win. That win against Southampton, 90 plus 4 minutes red card for Southampton. Forget that. That doesn't make any difference to the game anyway. So 2-1 to Blackburn Rovers here, and they got the winner on 86 minutes, and it was this game was actually really even. It was actually really even. I think that when it got to 85 minutes, you're thinking, yeah, this is really even. If anybody could just nick it, there's probably a handful of goals extra at target. Shots at target for Blackburn, but most of those extra shots didn't make any difference to the number of on target ones or the number of blocked ones. It was an average game for shots on the sort of statistics. So many shots on target, a third, so many shots at target, a third of them on target, and probably a third of them blocked. That's about it for both sides. Not really much of a difference between them. Even the tackling was pretty even. The possession for me was dead down the middle. 2-1 to Blackburn, probably on number of shot, on the fact that they got into that half and weren't afraid to give it a quick shot, whereas Southampton did that usual trick again into the final third, and sometimes they just pass it back in, pass it back in, pass it back. Great to watch for a neutral, but Blackburn, when they got in that position, instead of passing it back, more often than not had a quick shot, a quick peg-up shot, and that was the difference for me here. So Blackburn just not afraid to have a quick pop at goal, which is going to be interesting because Leicester City, that 1-1 draw, for instance, at Portsmouth at home, Leicester won, Portsmouth won. And you think, they do let in goals. If you're not afraid to shoot, then Leicester can let them in. If you take them on the break, they can just crumble. Hull City 2-1 away defeat, and you think, yep, they took them, didn't they? And the last game, Millwall, that one was another game where it was very much Leicester City capitulating. We'll go to that one. Millwall 1, Leicester City 0. And as you can see, Millwall there had a really good game. They tried to just defend this one and try and make sure that they didn't let in goals. That's just what they were trying to do, not to let a ex-Premier League side get any side to that goal. Leicester City had more shots. Yeah, they had more shots on target. Yeah, they were slightly better at passing, but the tactics of this Millwall side at home cannot be misjudged, and the home crowd cannot be faulted for what they provided in effort by the player, or improved the efforts of the players by. And that's what I got from this, the fact that Leicester could be took. And that's why I find it a little bit difficult when we go to this game and we go to Leicester City versus Blackburn, because Blackburn can catch people out on the break, and they did in the last game, winning Southampton 2-1. And Leicester City can be caught by a team just the same as that, losing twice there to Hull and Millwall, when realistically the stats say they should have been winning that one. And if you look at the game and forget the stats, you still believe they should have been winning it. But they lost both of them. And that's why, guys, I'm going to look at this Leicester-Blackburn one. I think this could be a little bit of a joker here, because I'm going to go for a banana skin. I'm going to go Leicester 1, Blackburn 1, and we'll move on to the next game, which is West Brom versus Sheffield Wednesday. West Brom in 11th, Sheffield Wednesday in 24th on -6 still. For West Brom, it's draw, win, lose, lose. Last two defeats: Watford 2-1 and Ipswich West Brom, and was a defeat as well, 1-0, and we'll go to that one. Ipswich 1, West Brom 0. A late goal here, 83 minutes for Ipswich. And this was just a game of two teams not wanting to lose it, wasn't it? I mean, only one shot on target by West Brom, 4 on target by Ipswich. But really good passing. I mean, these teams were, really strong passing. When they had the ball, they kept it. When they had the ball and passed it, they still managed to keep the ball. The passing was good. The possession was good. Really enjoyable to watch, yeah, but you've got to get in the other half. Now, Ipswich were probably better at doing that. They were marginally better, and they did have 15 shots at target, only 4 of them on target. They'll be a bit disappointed in that. 10 shots for West Brom, 1 on target. And you can see what's happening here. They're just trying to get into that box, into the half even in this game, just a quick crack at goal, but it just far too crowded and far too far away to have any real impetus on goal. For West Brom. And on the Ipswich side, well, yeah, they got a lot more, didn't they? 15 shots, but even then, for a home side with that crowd, they would have hoped that they'd have had a little bit more firepower and a little bit more ability to at least get one off, at least get a shot laid off. I think 15 for a side of that class, and they have got class in that side, should have been doing better against a West Brom side that for me hasn't really been firing on all cylinders. And then you come to the Sheffield Wednesday side. Draw, lose, 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 lose. New ownership coming up. And they have actually been playing really well. And Sheffield Wednesday won, Oxford 2. And I actually thought in this game that Sheffield Wednesday would come away with a draw. And when they came back and got that 53rd minute goal, I thought, they're going to do it, aren't they? But they didn't manage it. And I tell you what, they had a huge amount more possession. The ball always seemed to be in the Oxford, bang, give it away. Oxford, bang, give it away. And it always seemed to be coming. But I tell you what, Oxford did do really well. When they had the ball, which wasn't very often, it was straight into that final third. And again, they tend to pass it back, which were like one or two, or they'd get the ball, they'd do a second touch before passing it, and that extra second just gave the Sheffield Wednesday defence enough time to either tackle them or get in position, knowing where he was going to place it. So for me, the play of Oxford was a little bit, it wasn't instantaneous enough. But when they did get in, they managed to do a few shots. Not a great number, but I tell you what, a good percentage of them were on target. 4 of them on target out of those 11 for Oxford. 5 on target out of 17 for Sheffield Wednesday. They would have been thinking, they know that they can do it with the players with the good players they've got, and there's a couple of those youngsters that are absolutely really hot as well. So you can imagine that they were probably more confident than you think about getting that second goal, but they didn't. It was Sheffield Wednesday 1, Oxford 0, Oxford 2. Probably the right result in the end. We're looking at it, but you look at these two teams, West Brom versus Sheffield Wednesday, and you can't help think that the wheels seem to have come off at the minute for West Brom, and I'm not quite sure why. I mean, looking at West Brom 2, Watford 2, West Brom 1, and West Brom had the run of the green here, but they all, again, in that game, they kept it in their own half. They only had 9 shots at target, in the entire game with 60% possession. So what we're seeing here is a West Brom side that hold the ball well, pass it well. Wednesday can do exactly the same as that. Not quite as good passing. Got a lot of youngsters in there. The heads you would think would be down. They weren't last week. I thought they were really good for what for what situation they're under. And believe you me, being a Rotherham fan, that hurts. So I don't really know what I said. It was going to be a draw last week. I'm gonna stay. I'm gonna look at this West Brom Sheffield Wednesday, and I'm actually going to copy the same result as last time. West Brom 1, Sheffield Wednesday 1. I think they're going to get a goal here, and I think that those two teams could just knock it around again in defence and in their own half really well this time. And it's going to be who takes that break and who takes the goal from it. As we go to Norwich City versus Hull City. Norwich City are down there in 23rd. We did just mention it, didn't we? And it's 8 defeats as well. So it's not even a matter of too many draws. I thought they'd be down in the bottom half, but I thought they'd be drawing a lot. And they're not. Hull City in 8th. And it's a nice mix here of wins and draws for Hull City. They're doing a lot better than you think. They were under the embargo, but they managed to ask permission to get a few players, got approval, and they've managed to do really, really well. Norwich City, draw, lose. Those defeats: West Brom, Ipswich, Bristol City, Derby and Swansea City. West Brom down there as well. So 1-0, 3-1, 0-1, 1-0 and 2-1. Last time out, Swansea 2, Norwich 1. Norwich did equalise, but Swansea upped their ante and upped the game there. This was a game. It's a really interesting one because, yes, they both tried not to lose it. Absolutely. And I think when the equaliser came in, it was very. You could almost see the breath of relief from the Norwich players. it was a case of, no, we can't afford it. 3 shots on target each here, about 8 or 9 at target. So yeah, not a great one for the football connoisseur. Norwich City, though, had probably the best passing statistics of that game week. It was phenomenal. They knocked about 600 passes together in those 90 minutes. It was astonishing. But like TalkSport Radio said, it's no use if you keep it in your own half. You're not. I mean, Swansea again. I've seen it a couple of times with different teams here in the Championship. They just let them play it, let them pass it. They're not coming at us. They're staying in their own half, guys. And just like TalkSport said, what are you hoping to do? Now, the second half, just passing it in your own half when you're 1-1. You want to win it. But they didn't seem to. They wanted to at least not lose it. So it was only, I think, when they went 2-1 down on 69, they thought, actually, perhaps we should just go edge a little bit further forward. But still, they didn't do for me what they should have done. So you've got Hull City, lose, draw, win, and a draw in the Championship against Charlton. Now, there's a win against Leicester City at home, 2-1. Straight after a 3-2 win against Birmingham. 2 different styles of opponent there. Birmingham away, Leicester at home, and they won both of those 3-2 and 2-1. Then they go again in this game. Hull City 1, Charlton 1. 90 plus 1 minute equaliser here for Charlton. And to be honest, both of these teams are pretty good. Solid, sturdy passing, sturdy tackling. Not brilliant. Not the class of what Norwich were doing in their game. But at least with these two teams, the good, sturdy tackling and passing meant that they managed to use that to get to the other end. And both of them had a few shots. Not a huge amount. We had probably 20, 25 shots in this game in its entirety, and probably about 10 or 11 shots on target when you add them both together. So it was pretty much even. I think a draw was probably about right. This actually did turn out like the game looked. And I tell you what, the statistics for once managed to match what I saw in the game. So we're seeing a Hull City side away at Norwich City. Let's have a look. Norwich City not doing very well. The wheels seem to have fallen off. And I tell you what, usually it's about a 6-game losing run in the Championship. And they've had a really bad period of about 6 games. So I'm thinking that Norwich City will turn it round either this game or next, but I'm not quite sure what. Please do like and subscribe. Give me your comments down below. Do you think that Norwich are at the end of this poor run and that they will actually manage to get a win out of this one? It is at home, and the last home game was a 1-0 defeat to Bristol City. So they've had 2 away games since then. And the one before that at home was West Brom 1-0 home defeat. So they're playing a Hull City side that they've got the tails up here, though they can do well. They can defend pretty well. But they're not afraid to get in the other half, which is the point I would probably make here. So when we're talking Norwich and Hull, I'm gonna go with One Direction. And I'm not singing. I'm going to go Norwich 0, Hull City 1. I think Hull City been having that ability and desire to get up into the half and have try and get into a position to shoot. Just puts them one ahead of Norwich for me. What do you think? Swap those two round, didn't I? I was just taking a break thinking, why did I go there? I swapped those two teams out. Obviously, they're different in the list, so that was my fault. So we're going to go Birmingham versus Portsmouth here. Birmingham not quite doing what they thought as well as they thought they would. 15 points and 15th position. I mean, that usually would put you square and squarely just at the very top of the relegation zone. But this is really flat this season, and I think that you can forget the 50-point safety. God knows where it's going to be. They're all very, very even this year. And 18th, 3 places below them for Portsmouth on 13 points. And you can see that Sheffield United on 22nd, really critical here. They're going to be moving up. Norwich City in 23rd, moving up most likely. Sheffield United in 9 points, just 4 points behind Portsmouth. And 5 points behind Birmingham. So you can see what I'm thinking. This is so flat this season. You can't tell who's going to win who. You really can't. Birmingham City at home, of course, lose, draw, lose, win, lose. And they'll be desperate to win this one because they really do need to win. The teams directly below them. Believe me, Portsmouth are directly below them. The last game, of course, was Bristol City, like we said. Bristol City 1, Birmingham 0. And I was watching this one and thinking, are any of them actually going to make a good shot at target? Are any of them... No, the Bristol City goalkeeper can play some absolutely stonking saves, can't he? But... And he did here. He did show signs of it here. Although both teams had one shot on target. Bristol City scored theirs 1-0. Birmingham didn't. But if you look at the shots in total, it was about 4 or 5 shots at target for Bristol City, whereas it was almost 15 shots for Birmingham. But they still only got one of them on target. And a third of their shots were blocked. So it just seemed like they were getting into the box. The goals are over there. Let's just fire it. Let's not place it around the crowd or around those 3 defenders. And it was getting blocked 1 in 3 times. It was just getting kicked out. So Birmingham not really clinical enough when the ball is hit into that onion bag at the end. Whereas Bristol City, yeah, they may have defended quite a lot here. They really did defend quite a lot. And it worked. It frustrated Birmingham last year. It's frustrated them again against the Bristol City side. Parking the bus just doesn't seem to suit this Birmingham side, does it? And it's a wondering if their opposition this time will do the same, because that's how Bristol City won this game 1-0. So we're talking Portsmouth. Will they play the park in the bus situation? I can tell you, Portsmouth is just down here. They will not be playing the park in the bus routine at all, which means that we've got a side lose, draw, win, draw, lose, lose. The win was against 1-0 against Borough. We want to go there because Portsmouth actually had very little of the ball, but like I said, they didn't just defend. They defended for one half, and then they realised that actually they needed to try and not just defend this 23-minute goal, but actually try and push forward a little bit. And they did manage to do it. So they didn't just sit in defence. They didn't just wait till 23 minutes, 1-0 up and let's park the bus. They actually managed to keep pushing this side, and they did. They had 8 shots. They had 1 of them on target, 1 in the net. Borough though 12 at target, 1 in the net, and 12 on target, 1 on 12 at target, 1 on target. Put your tongue in, John, and none in the net. So Borough just weren't as clinical as they usually are, and as they have been. This Portsmouth side can play some good football. They can also play some pretty dismal football. They have been playing relatively well away from home. And I know people are going to say, yeah, but it's at home where they're playing really well with the atmosphere and the crowd. I know they have, but I'm quite proud of how they're attacking these away games. They're not attacking them with the same format, if you like, the same game plan, and okay, they're not getting a huge number of points, But the last away game was Leicester City 1, Portsmouth 1, and I actually thought with that one that and they went behind to Leicester quite early on, and in the second half they just seem to keep pegging away. They have they don't get many shots on target, Portsmouth, but I tell you what, when they get a couple of shots on target, their conversion ratio is really good. I think that if Portsmouth can get into this Birmingham half, they will be doing well. And I think that they tend to play a little bit like Bolton did last season and play from the back. And if they play from the back against Birmingham, it has been proved to succeed. So I think from what I've seen, people are really thinking that Birmingham are probably just about got the bit between the teeth, and they're just about on and up. Whereas Portsmouth are sort of up and down. But I have to support my local side, and I'm actually going to go away from all what you're saying. I'm going to go the opposite of what you lot are saying. I'm going to go Birmingham 1, Portsmouth 2, and I'm going to go into the next game, which is Charlton versus Swansea City. Now, obviously, Charlton have been lower down and thinking, will we survive? And all of a sudden they've done really well, and they've been pulling out some cracking performances and some cracking results, sometimes against the run of play. They're in 6th, Swansea are in 13th. I would have put this completely the opposite way around. Charlton win, draw, lose, win, draw. That win, draw has really propelled them up. Like I said, the league is so flat. It's just ridiculous, isn't it? Last time out, it was the Hull City 1, Charlton 1, and we said this, didn't we? Charlton on 90 plus 1 minutes here, getting that equaliser. Charlton were, they passed it better. And this is a good point. They haven't been in the early stages. I noticed that their passing was actually not as clinical as it used to be in League One. But they seem to have got I don't know what they've been doing on the training pitch, but they seem to have got that passing a lot better. And they're a little bit more clinical as well, which they, again, were brilliantly clinical in the last season, which is why they got promoted in the end. And, they really have got a lot better for me, this Charlton side. But the Hull City side here, that they played, they were probably about on par with them. If anybody was to win this one, I would actually say, looking at the game, the style of the game, I'd say just on style, I would have gone for Charlton just nicking it. But, they managed to nick a draw on 90 plus 1 minutes. They'll probably be upset that they didn't get that goal earlier and have a chance to win it. Swansea City then, and we've got win, lose, draw, lose, win, lose. Not going to choose that last game for Swans because it was a 3-1 home defeat in the Carabao Cup to Manchester City. Norwich City, Swansea City 2, Norwich City 1. My worry here is they let Swansea City, they let Norwich City have a lot of the play. So Swansea City allowed Norwich in Swansea to have quite a lot of the play. And I think they were hoping that they'd do what they've done in previous games, Norwich, and just tap it around the back and just not do anything with it. But yeah, they did. But they did really well when they got to the front end. The 2 or 3 shots they had on target were really good, and the Swansea keeper had a really good game in opposition to them. However, for me, probably a draw would have been about right here, and Swansea would have been thinking when they got that lead on 69 minutes, 2-1. Let's just shut the shop. Let's just shut the shop, and the shop was shut. And nobody was going to get into either of these halves. Norwich really doing quite well, keeping the ball, and again trying to get. But at least they didn't pass it around in the back half. They were pushing forward. Norwich would have been bitterly disappointed they didn't get more shots at least here. So Norwich City, they won 2-1 there, Swansea. So how do we see this going? Because Charlton have actually started to be a lot more clinical for me. And Swansea, well, they can score, but they haven't been for me. They lost 3-1 to Leicester. They 0-0 to Southampton. 1-0 defeat to QPR. The 2-1 win, 2 goals for last against Norwich, and they did score one against Manchester City in the Carabao Cup, so they can score. Will they score against Charlton? Well, they've been really good in that defence, and I think that although Charlton can show a little bit of a wobble in defence, it's been in the earlier part of this season. I think Charlton just about have it for me. I don't think there's going to be much in it. I'm going to go with Charlton 1, Swansea 0. It's either going to be Charlton 1, Swansea 0 or Charlton 1, Swansea 2. But I'm going to go with the Charlton home win as we go to Oxford versus Millwall. Now, Oxford versus Mill will be a very important game because Millwall are in third and they're hoping to use this game to propel themselves right in contention for that second slot. I don't think anybody's going to think about getting first, are they? Absolutely not. 19th position for Oxford United, but remember they're on 12 points, just 3 points above Sheffield United in 22nd. So they're not out of the woods here. They have to keep getting those odd wins. Have they been getting them? Lose, draw, lose, win. Sheffield Wednesday 2-1 here. They got into a 2-0 lead, and I thought on 36 minutes 2-0 they're going to win here 4-0, 3-4, 5-0. And all of a sudden Sheffield Wednesday just stopped them. I mean, it was just like we've decided to play football now. We'll take it from you. The crowd was huge, wasn't it? And the crowd, you really did turn out in your tens of thousands, didn't you? It was brilliant to watch, considering it was absolutely empty the game before. Did what you had to do and get the manager out, the owner out. Sorry. Well done. And even from a Rotherham fan, I have to say it. You really did need to do this, and look forward to seeing a well-owned club for once. Sheffield Wednesday 1, Oxford 2 then, and Sheffield Wednesday turned the tables here, eventually making it a 67% possession for Sheffield Wednesday, 17 shots against 11. 5 shots on target against 4. You can see that they did really well, but clinicality in front of goal goes to Oxford. 4 shots on target, 2 in the net. Doesn't matter how many were blocked. 3 Oxford shots were blocked. Doesn't really matter. 4 without being blocked. Bang. 2 in the net. That's what won them the game. Sheffield United fans would have been... Sheffield Wednesday fans, sorry. Slapped hand. There we are. They'll have been bitterly disappointed they didn't get at least a draw out of that one, but Oxford will be feeling really happy that they managed to fend them off in the end. Millwall then, draw, lose, win. The last time out, Leicester City. Millwall 1, Leicester City 0. Millwall scored before half time, and I actually thought this was going to be a 0-0. Really dire first half, I thought. Tell me what you think. Do like and subscribe. Tell me what you thought of it. I thought the first half was dire. The second half, though, when Millwall had scored, you could see Leicester City just pick up that pace just a little bit, and they suddenly started to just ease back into contention in this game. And they'll have been pretty disappointed they didn't. Their passing seemed to be just marginally better in the second half. Their possession just marginally better in the second half. Their number of shots were quite a bit better in the second half, but the number of shots on target didn't really go up at all. So the Leicester City team just need to get some of these on target, and really that's about it. So Leicester can play really clinically, but this Millwall side just stopped them from being able to get close enough to have a clear cut chance at goal. In fact, I think that here the stats say clear-cut chances for Leicester, 0. So so the stats even say it. I mean, I looked at it and thought that. The stats say that as well, guys. So Millwall did a good job here on Leicester. Can they do the same on Oxford? I think they can, I think that we're going to see a decent performance by Millwall. And although Oxford will be happy they got that win last time out, I think that they'll be a bit disappointed they didn't get more of a gap between just one goal difference at a team that's playing all the youngsters, plus one or two good senior players. They'll have been good they'll be a little bit disappointed. I think that disappointment will show. Oxford 0, Millwall 2, and we'll go to the next game, which is QPR versus Ipswich. So QPR and Ipswich, and we'll just put that down here, and we go to the table. QPR in 9th and Ipswich in 12th. 18 points for QPR, 16 for Ipswich. Just remember that Ipswich are actually only 4 points ahead of Southampton in 20th position. So, like I said, really, really flat here, and Ipswich will be a little bit worried that their game hasn't been up to scratch of late for me, and QPR. Up and down, isn't it? One would like to be able to pick whether they're good away or good at home. I think this QPR side has been of late really good away from home, but let's see where they will be at home, because although the away figures have been quite good, the home figures not as shiny a performance for me. Draw, win, lose, lose. Last two games have been away at Swansea 1-0 win, and away at Derby 1-0 defeat. So you can see here there's not an awful lot of goals in this team at the minute. Like I say, we're in that point where we get suspensions and injuries, and you're just not knowing who's going to be available in the next game, do you? Derby County 1, QPR 0. QPR had this game this was theirs to lose. This was QPR's game to lose. They had the ball, they managed to get it just over the halfway line and then lose it. Their passing was brilliant until they started being a threat. Their passing was great and their possession was great until they got near that final third. And then they either passed it back or they lost the ball. One shot on target for this QPR side, 6 in the entire game. Almost, it's about 65%, 63-64% possession, depending on where you go for the stats. And I tell you what, Derby County had twice as many shots at target, 4 times as many shots on target. QPR had 1 shot on target, none in the net. Derby County 4 on target, 1 in the net. So 1-0 to Derby, none in the net for QPR, sorry. 1-0 to Derby County, probably really frustrating day for QPR. They just didn't. It's just, tell me why. Please tell me why, fans. You've got that far and then just couldn't get any further. Ipswich Town, win, draw, win, lose, win. And here we've got a team that was hoping to do really well, be right up there, and as they are, they're just sort of mid-table meh. Win, draw, win, lose, win. A win against West Brom last time out. Ipswich 1, West Brom 0, but only on 83 minutes for Ipswich. This is that game where it was just. For me, it was just let's get close to the final third and have a quick shot for both teams. It was almost like neither team really wanted to go so far that they were going to lose the game. Let's just keep pushing, pulsating into the half, pulsating almost to the final third, and then have a quick shot. At the end of the day, Ipswich 4 shots on target. West Brom one on target, probably rightly so. It was 1-0 to Ipswich, and I think West Brom would have probably feel they could have got a draw from that. There was that fewer shots. If they'd have just tried to aiming one or two of them, they might have actually come away with a draw, but they didn't. Who really tries better then, QPR or Ipswich? Because that Ipswich side for me isn't really ticking. It's not getting those passes forward. It's not getting those passes into the position where the striker can actually have a clear shot. Whereas QPR at least do have one or two really good attempts, and although they sort of, you can see it's only ones and twos in goals for QPR. I don't know where this one's gonna go. I may have to sit on the fence again. QPR 0, Ipswich 0. There we are. I'm going to go with a bore draw, and I think that we very well may get that bore draw. Sheffield United versus Derby County. Then next, Sheffield United all there in 22nd position. Derby County just 5 points ahead of them in 17th. In 17th position. They're drawing a lot of games. 5 draws for this for the Derby County side. 0 draws for Sheffield United, and we're seeing an interesting difference here. With Derby County just wanting to get a point, try not to lose it, get a point, and I tell you, it's working. Look where they are in the league. Sheffield United having the luck. The luck just hasn't been for them, has it? Win, lose, win, lose. Last time out, Preston 3, Sheffield United 2. I like the Preston side. I think it was due to turn. Their luck was good. Then it turned negative for a little bit. And it seems to just start to turn again. Sheffield United will be a little bit disappointed that they went away here and didn't win it. Their game plan was a little bit better. Their play was a little bit better. Their passing was better. Their holding of the ball, hold-up play was better. But both sides got 3 shots on target. Preston scored all 3. Sheffield United scored 2 of them. That's it. That is basically it. These two. I mean, look, Preston had more shots, but it's the shots on target that matter, guys. And in this game, Sheffield United will come away feeling pretty aggrieved they didn't get 3 wins on the bounce. Derby County then, draw, lose, win. They do seem to have been able to tighten up that defence. Although the Norwich win at home was 1-0, and followed by this one, the QPR win. Derby County 1. QPR 0, again 1-0. You have to think that this Derby County side has managed to really tighten up that defence. We know QPR can be really clinical, even with 1 or 2 shots on target. Here, Derby County reduced QPR to 1 shot on target. Did really well, really proud of them, and the fans should be as well, because Derby County they ran this game, even though they allowed QPR to have the ball. They really did very little with it. And when Derby County did have it, 38% of the time, they made sure they did at least had an attempt to get into that final third and try and get a shot off. And they were very, very clinical about getting it on target. The ratio of shots to shots on target, very, very good. 3-1. So you have to admire that. And 4 on target, 1 in there is probably about right for the top half. So they really should be really good. We're really proud about the game plan. So we're having a Derby County resurgence at a time when Sheffield United are also having a resurgence. I think there's goals in this one. There's goals in Demdar Hills. Now, I know that people are saying Derby County aren't very good at goals. I mean, 1-1, 1-1, 1-1, 1-0 defeat, 1-0 win, 1-0 win. You know, there's not a lot of goals in Derby, is it? But that team can score. And I think that now they've got that defence right, will they be looking at the attack? Absolutely. Will they be able to do it at a Sheffield United side that's doing really well? I think this is going to be an interesting game. I think this could be either way around. I can't see Derby scoring more than 1. I really can't. And I can see Sheffield United scoring. I'm going to go with Sheffield United 3, Derby 1. Watch me be wrong. Do tell me what you think. Like and subscribe as we go to Southampton versus Preston. And Southampton are in, where are we? 20th position. 3 points above Sheffield United in 22nd, and Preston are in 7th. Preston do seem to have started playing. They had a bit of a blip, didn't they? They played really well. Then they sort of went nah, and they seem to have just turned a little bit, started to improve. But that defence really does that. What's happened to the defence? It seems to have just popped a little bit. One of the fans did say on my comments that they have actually still got one or two or three really good defenders in there. They've had a bit of an issue with injuries, apparently. Not from me, from a Preston North End fan. So will they be able to do something against the Southampton team? Well, Blackburn was the last game for Southampton. Draw, win, draw, lose, win. And that Blackburn side, it was Blackburn 2, Southampton 2, forgetting that Wellington red card on 90+4. And Blackburn really did deserve a win here. Southampton, just didn't look. There was plenty of shots in either direction, and there were plenty of shots at target. But that Southampton side just seems to be they either playing it in the back end and just in their own half and just knocking it around and trying to get catch on the break, which hasn't been working, or in this game, it just seems to be a constant pulsation, one game, one side to the other, and a good game to watch for the neutral, but not being really clinical enough for me up front as you make that final shot. I mean, 5 shots on target for Southampton. They should have been getting 1 or 2. I would hope 2. 6 shots on target for Blackburn, 2 in the net. 5 shots on target for Southampton, 1 in the net. And I think that, to me, Southampton's final shot can be a little bit a little bit weak, a little bit misguided, and occasionally absolutely phenomenal. But we either have to have more phenomenal shots, or I would prefer less phenomenal shots and more really good shots, rather than sort of the odd phenomenal one and several really weak bubbling ones that don't seem they're on target, but they're not going to get in the net. So that's my problem with the Southampton team. Look, there's a lot of out those last 6 games, three to each side. There's 4 defeats, one draw, and just 1 win for Preston against Sheffield United. I think that this Preston side is actually doing rather well. I'm going to go Southampton 1, Preston North End 2. What's the next game? We've got Stoke City versus Bristol City. Stoke City in 5th, Bristol City in 4th. 1 point ahead, 21 and 22 points there. And it's Stoke City, draw, win, lose, win. And, the number of goals that they're conceding, Stoke, is really, really good, really low. But up front, they're not really... They don't look like a side that's going to win 2-3, 4-0. But they were at the beginning. You could see they could score lots here. If they could really do well. And they're against a side, they're not there for no reason, are they? And they're against a side that are also doing really well. So Portsmouth were the last game. Portsmouth 0, Stoke City 1. And Portsmouth played reasonably well, but so did Stoke. And the goalkeeper for Stoke, obviously, Johansson, played a really good game here. And I tell you what, there was very few games. There was a handful of shots in the entire game that were on target. Neither of these seemed to really have a really good edge up front. And their defences were both really good. 1-0 either direction would have probably been about right. It was a pretty poor game by both sides for me. Bristol City then, draw, lose, win. Last time out, Birmingham. Bristol City 1, Birmingham 0. And Birmingham had 72% possession here, 13 shots and only 1 on target. Whereas Bristol City had 29% possession, 5 shots, 1 on target, 1 in the net. And that really sums this up. Birmingham will be absolutely fuming that they didn't get back into this game, especially when Bristol City scored that winner on 42 minutes. That's all you can say. Bristol City run of the green, really. I think the Southampton game was pretty much the same, wasn't it? Bristol City, Southampton, again, Southampton 67% of the game. 2 games there where they've had very little game time, but Bristol City, and yet they've won them 3-1 and 1-0, and that's what I admire about this Bristol City side. They don't need a lot of the play in order to get the goals. I think they'll get more game time here, to be quite honest. That's why I think that the Stoke City team may be a little bit worried about this Bristol City side, because I think that they can, even with relatively little possession, do a lot of damage. And although Stoke City, we have to think Stoke City's defence is really strong, I think that we may see Stoke City 1, Bristol City 3, and we're going to go to the game at Watford versus Borough. Watford are in 14th, Borough are in 2nd, and of course Watford very much up and down, aren't they? Very much up and down performance-wise. Win, draw, win, lose, win, lose. There are 2 defeats there. Sheffield United away 1-0 defeat. And realistically, Sheffield should have won that one. Watford got away with get out of jail free card, wasn't it? Last game though for Watford, Coventry 3, Watford 1. 44 minutes, Abankwah got sent off with a red card there. A little bit of acting, I think, in that, but it was deserved of a card. Very well acted, I think, by the Coventry guy. Did Coventry really deserve this 3-1 win? Actually, when we got that, it was 3-0, and then we got that goal on 69 minutes, that penalty. I thought Watford really stepped up this game, and they made a game of it. And actually, you would have been, if you look at the figures, you're thinking this should have been a Watford win, at least a draw. And with 10 men, hell, if they'd have had all their men on the pitch, they could have won this one. They really could. I think that it needed that it almost needed that goal, that penalty, to get them kicked into action. And all of a sudden, you saw this Watford side suddenly start playing some good football. Not that they hadn't before. It's just that they played some better football when they scored. As we realised, actually, there's it's 3-1. 2 goals we can get. If we can get one more, you're only 1 goal behind. We could get a draw from this. And that's what really, I saw Watford just raise the ground just a little bit. And you're away at Coventry as well. So they would have been a bit disappointed that they didn't sort of do a bit better. Oh, and they got a red card, of course. They're playing Middlesbrough, though. Draw, lose, win, draw. Only 2 wins in the last 6 games there. And they're all championship games. Yeah, so they have started to play a little bit poorly. Borough 1, Wrexham 1. And it took 80 minutes for Borough to equalise here. Wrexham can park the bus really, really well. And Borough had all the play. They were getting into the Wrexham final third. They weren't sticking in their own half. But I tell you what, a lot of them were just fired. More than a third of these shots were blocked. Just less than a third on target, less than a third off target. They had marginally more shots at target, probably twice as many on target, and yet Borough still managed to just get a draw. And it's testimony to this Wrexham's every man back and lay your body on the line for the club. It has been happening, which is really strange for a sort of what I call a manufactured club. It's manufactured to go from non-league up into the Premier League. And manufactured clubs, they tend to have to get people in who don't lay the body on the line. These are actually laying the body on the line for the club. Make no bones about it. So that 1-1 draw would have been disappointing for Borough. Can they make it back against this Watford side, who, to be quite honest, will be a bit gutted that they lost 3-1 there against Coventry? They should have done better than that. I think that this is actually going to be a little bit of a... I can't... It's either going to be a draw, 1-1, or it's going to be a Borough win. And... because of that Wrexham game, I think they're going to be really gutted, aren't they? They're going to be more gutted than Watford. I'm going to go with Watford 1, Borough 2. Could be either way, but that's the way we're going to go with that one. So thank you for watching John Esser Sports Channel. Please do like and subscribe, and I'll see you for another prediction video next week. Thank you very much.